Hello and welcome back. Today we're focusing on the second section of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, or Fitt 2. The second section picks up exactly where the last left off, with the continuing celebration of the holidays. However, it quickly moves into a progression throughout the rest of the year. And as we see the seasons change, and as the year draws closer and closer to the time when Sir Gawain has to go out and find the Green Knight, the anticipation intensifies. And we see the shift from joy to somberness as we move from the cheerful months to the darker and colder months. Finally, on All Saints' Day, which is November 1st, Sir Gawain leaves the court and heads out to meet his destiny, and the consequences of accepting the Green Knight's challenge. We see all of his friends and relatives celebrating and cheering him on, but also being saddened by his potential impending doom here. And as the poem took its time previously with the festivities and the food, now it's going to take its time describing Sir Gawain's clothing and equipment and armor. He is an impressive looking knight, and his clothing and all that he wears reflects the quality not only of his outward bearing, but also of his inner character. This is most clearly seen in the aspect of his shield. On his red or scarlet shield there is a symbol, the symbol of the pentangle, or the 5-point star. And the book takes its time to unpack what that symbol represents and how it exhibits Sir Gawain's character. The 5-point star is an endless figure. As you draw the lines of the star, they continue on forever. It is also described as an endless knot in Armitage's translation. Each of the points of the star symbolizes a set of 5 that Sir Gawain lives by. We'll unpack all of those in just a moment. Not only that, but on the inside of his shield, where he can see it when he holds it, is a picture of the Virgin Mary. A shield in general is symbolic, as a symbol of protection. In Christianity, a shield is a symbol for faithfulness and protection against temptation, which is going to be very important to Gawain as he experiences the temptations of this journey. The 5 points of the star are connected to 5 things. The first is that he is flawless in his 5 wits, or senses. In the Middle Ages, the wits were often connected with the 5 external senses. In other words, the way we perceive the world. Our sight, our smell, our hearing, our taste, and our touch. But they were also occasionally connected with the inner senses. Common sense, imagination, memory, estimation, and fantasy. Whether the poet intended them to be the external wits or the internal wits, either way, Sir Gawain is a knight who exhibits excellence in his perception of the world around him. The second point of the star represents the excellence of his 5 fingers. He's never at fault with his 5 fingers. This recognizes both that his hands are doing good, but also that he has excellence in his skill and prowess, his strength of hand. He is a perfect fighter. The third point in the star connects to the way Gawain's faith is founded in the 5 wounds of Christ. The stigmata, or the wounds in Christ's hands, feet, and side. Sir Gawain recognizes that the sacrifice of Christ and the wounds of Christ are what save him. By his stripes or wounds we are healed. Sir Gawain understands the center of his faith. In the Middle Ages, it was common to meditate upon each of the individual wounds of Christ, especially after the time of St. Francis in around 1200. The fourth point in the star connects to the strength that Sir Gawain finds in the 5 joys of Mary. The 5 joys of Mary are moments in the story of the Virgin Mary in which she experienced great joy. The first would be the Annunciation, when she heard from Gabriel that she was going to bear Christ. The second would have been Christ's birth. The third would have been the moment that Christ was raised from the dead. The fourth is Christ's ascension into heaven, and the 5th was the crowning of Mary in heaven, as Christ recognizes her role. These are the traditional reflections in the Catholic Church about the Virgin Mary in the story of Christianity. But it's also important to recognize the role that Mary has here, especially with her picture on the inside of Sir Gawain's shield. She is kind of the archetype of courtly love, and therefore his strength and courage come from trying to be worthy of her. He looks to her in moments of conflict for his strength. The final point in the star are the 5 qualities of relationships that Sir Gawain exhibits. These include friendship, fraternity, purity, courtesy, and pity. So these 5 sets of 5, symbolized in this symbol on his shield, show that Sir Gawain is excellent in his perception of the world, his prowess and strength of hand, his Christian faith, his inspiration to strength, and in his relationships. It also points out that because this is an endless knot, each point on the star is balanced by all the other points. They work together to create Sir Gawain's character. And this is going to be important because it's his character being tested here. We have to establish who he is and what he represents before we can put him to the test. And so we see Sir Gawain bravely going on this adventure, and he undergoes a road of trials. It would be easy to connect back to Joseph Campbell's hero's journey here. The road of trials is rather quickly summarized here, but we see it involves lonely wandering, tests of hope, dangerous physical encounters, environmental and terrain miseries. All of this is quickly summarized, and honestly, I would enjoy hearing some of these battle scenes that would have played out in the background, but instead we just see him wandering through a kind of montage of misery. And everywhere he goes, no one seems to have ever heard of the Green Chapel or the Green Knight. As he rides his steed Gringolet, the year begins to wane, and he gets closer and closer and closer to the holidays. Finally, we see him getting rather distressed, first of all because he can't find the Green Knight, and also because Christmas is the very next day. And where is he going to be able to stop and celebrate Mass? And so in this dark, cold, inhospitable environment, he prays that God would give him an opportunity to hear Mass before Christmas is over. Just as he finishes, there appears this beautiful castle. With all kinds of contrasts to the misery of the outdoors, this castle is gorgeous. And there's clearly a sense of purpose and providence in the moment that we see this. It feels like God has answered his prayer, and here he's been given this beautiful place to enter. He's rewarded in the moment. And yet, he's going to come to find out that this is a place of tempting and testing. There's a kind of tension here. It looks like a place of rest, but it's actually going to be the place where he is going to be most sorely tested. So is it an answer to prayer or not? Well, it clearly is, but we come to discover in Gawain's faith that sometimes the answer to prayer is through trial rather than avoiding trial. In fact, Sir Gawain does not back down from a trial, just as he did not back down from the Green Knight. And here, an answer to prayer is a trial for him. And the beauty and gloriousness of this place are going to become a kind of Garden of Eden, a place of rest and beauty that also contains temptation. And in complete contrast to the rather inhospitable inhabitants of the land that he's been bumping into, the porter cheerfully welcomes him in. All the servants gather around him and kneel before him and cover him with nice clothes and set him by the fire. Everything suddenly is very red and gold, rather than the cold, chilly outside. Everything's very warm. In fact, the color red becomes a key symbol in this section. It's connected to the master of the house, who is an incredibly jovial and cheerful and kind man. He welcomes Gawain in and gives him excellent entertainment, and he's very open-handed and generous. In fact, the inhabitants of this place seem to feel as though they've been blessed by Sir Gawain's presence, rather than him being blessed by being provided a place to stay and a place to hear Mass. Sir Gawain is given new clothing, which makes him look spring-like in the midst of this winter land, and he meets the lady of the house, and this mysterious old woman. The lady and the old woman are always side by side, somewhat juxtaposed. The lady is the most gorgeous woman Gawain has ever seen, even more than Guinevere. And yet the woman standing next to her is a hideous old woman. What her role is going to remain a mystery until towards the end of the book. Everyone is cheerful and happy to have Sir Gawain there, and they're excited because they hear that Gawain is from the court of King Arthur, and they know what excellent manners the people in Arthur's court have. And they hope to hear some excellent discourse on love from the young knight. And here's another contrast, the sense that knights are bold and courageous in action, but in their speech they are gentle and loving and eloquent. And this discussion of love is going to be very important in the next section. And so they go through Christmas, but then Sir Gawain says, I need to go ahead and get on, I need to find this chapel. Have you seen the chapel? And the master of the house says, oh yeah, that's only 2 miles away. I know exactly where that is. I can drop you off just on time on New Year's Day. Why don't you hang around here until New Year's Day? And so Gawain is delighted, and he gets to enjoy the rich hospitality of the master of the house for the next few days. And as Fitt 2 is finishing, the master of the house offers a game, something to entertain them for the 3 days that Gawain is going to be here. The master of the house will go out on a hunt every day, and whatever he catches, he will give to Sir Gawain. Meanwhile, Gawain will give whatever he wins while staying home and resting up. What is Gawain going to win in the house? Well, it's not specified, but perhaps he's going to be on the hunt for love. After all, that's normally what is expected of a knight at rest, and love being a hunt is a clear and common metaphor within the Middle Ages. So whatever Gawain can win with his gallantry, he will give to the master. We will see how this goes in section 3. Thanks for watching. You can click to subscribe or watch another video, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.